You were not born, you were made. Somewhere beneath Terra, the Emperor reached into creation and shaped 20 beings from his own living genome. Not soldiers, not commanders, demigods. You were one of them. Your pod tore free, scattered by forces the Imperium cannot name, across the void, lost among a million stars. 500 worlds would one day answer to your name. Legions of warriors would carry your genetic legacy into battle. Entire civilizations would shape themselves around your vision of order. At the height of your power, you commanded more soldiers than most star systems hold citizens. But first, there was a planet. A cold and proud world at the edge of known space. And a child no one could explain. The galaxy fractures without warning. Word reaches Ultramar. Half the Primarchs have turned against the Emperor. Horus, the War Master, leads the betrayal. You march your legion to Calth for a joint muster with Lorgar's word-bearers. It is a trap. Lorgar's fleet opens fire in orbit. His warriors shed their robes and slaughter your brothers in the streets below. The sky burns. Thousands of Ultramarines fall in the opening hours, unable to comprehend a brother's betrayal. You rally. You drive the word-bearers underground. The battle for Calth grinds on for months beneath a dying sun. Your legion survives because you built it to endure. But the heresy is far larger than one world, and a far more personal reckoning is already moving toward you. The pain is total. You do not simply wake. You are rebuilt, nerve by nerve, across 10,000 years of absence. Yvraine's gift pulls you back from a wound that should have been eternal. You open your eyes in the Shrine of Guilliman, and the galaxy is unrecognizable. The first thing Cawl shows you are his soldiers. Primaris Space Marines, taller, broader, reshaped from your own genomic blueprints. He has been working since before the Horus Heresy ended. You feel something between fury and gratitude. The Imperium is cracked in half. The Great Rift runs like a scar across every star chart. Billions are already lost in the darkness beyond it. The Imperium Nihilus, unreachable from Terra. There is no time to grieve. There is only the Crusade. The pod falls, not into wilderness, not into silence, into Macragge, a world already arguing over trade routes, already adjudicating disputes, already calling itself civilized. Roboute Guilliman, regional governor, finds a child with the composure of a general. He does not weaponize you. He raises you as an heir. He gives you libraries, law courts, trade ledgers, and you devour them all. Within years, you are rewriting statutes that have frustrated administrators for decades. You do it quietly. You do it correctly. The senators begin noticing a boy who speaks like a constitution. Then Conor is murdered. Political rivals. Personal. Every instinct tells you rage is the easy answer. But you do not reach for rage. You reach for the law. The Emperor's fleet emerges above Macragge. You have already dispatched envoys. Every scenario was wargamed. You chose diplomacy because force costs more than it earns. He descends. Macragge does not kneel, it receives. The distinction matters to you. A world that submits from fear is not the same as one that chooses alliance. The exact words exchanged are disputed. Records disagree on what was promised, what was withheld. What survives is the outcome. Two precise minds arrive at agreement through logic rather than conquest. He sees in you something his other sons do not carry. Patience and architecture, not a blade, a civilization. He names you Lord of a Legion, and the weight is not honor, it is assignment. The real work begins the moment he leaves. You take command of the Ultramarines, and immediately begin rewriting their doctrine. Their old ways of war are efficient. You make them comprehensive. Governance protocols, supply chains, legal codes, these join tactics in the training halls. The Great Crusade carries you across hundreds of worlds. The pattern repeats. You arrive, you win, and then, where your brothers would leave, you stay. Every liberated planet receives more than a garrison. It receives a framework, ports, roads, census records, schools. Other Primarchs measure their campaigns and enemies destroyed. You measure yours in functioning administrations left behind. Ultramar begins as a handful of worlds under your direct stewardship. The number grows. What you're constructing isn't just a domain, it's a proof of concept, and it's far from finished. Every world you take, you keep. Roads follow your legions. Courts replace warlords. Supply chains feed planets that once starved. Other Primarchs count skulls. You count administrators. Ultramar expands. 500 worlds, a civilization built inside the Imperium skeleton, prosperous, stable, self-governing in everything but name. The mockery is immediate. Perturabo calls it arrogance. Magnus calls it limitation, and Lorgar despises you most completely because Ultramar is living proof that humanity does not need gods to thrive. He remembers the Monarchia. He remembers his legion kneeling in the ash. He sees your quiet empire as the argument that destroyed his faith. That grievance does not fade. It is already becoming a plan, and the battlefield it chooses will catch even you unprepared. The warning comes too late. You analyze the intelligence, weigh the evidence, and those hours of deliberation cost you everything. At Calth, the word-bearers are still flying Allied colors when they open fire. Your fleet, the pride of the Ultramarines, begins to die in orbit. Ships detonate across the void in minutes. The ambush is devastating. On the surface, the sun itself is failing. Dark ritual has corroded the star. Warriors fight beneath a dying sky, in a war that drags on for years. You drive Lorgar's sons from Calth. You pursue them into the Viridian system, but the galaxy has already fractured. Horus has sealed every route to Terra. You are cut off, and Ultramar itself is now the last war left to fight. The heresy ends. Horus is dead. The Emperor, broken and unreachable, is sealed onto the Golden Throne, sustained by sacrifice instead of will. You return to a galaxy in ruins. Every legion bears the mark of catastrophe. Traitor or loyal, the scale of destruction is equal in horror. You sit down and write. The Codex Astartes is not a field manual. It is a constitutional reckoning. No single commander will ever again control the power a legion commands. Never again will one man's fall drag 1,000,000 warriors into darkness. You break your own legion first. 100,000 Ultramarines, divided into chapters of 1,000, dispersed, decentralized, deliberately constrained. The other Primarchs receive the order, and what comes back is not acceptance. Decades pass, then centuries. Ultramar prospers, your 13 worlds a model of what the Imperium was meant to become. Clean governance, functioning supply chains, citizens who do not starve. The rest of the Imperium does not follow your model. It follows fear. You watch the institution calcify around its own wounds. The administratum buries truth in parchment. The ecclesiarchy transforms the emperor's sacrifice into a religion he never asked for. The Inquisition burns as readily as it protects. The High Lords tolerate your presence. They do not invite it. You send delegations. You write treatises. You argue through intermediaries. Nobody listens the way they once did. And then a figure arrives, wearing a face from the Great Crusade, carrying a title you remember, and something else entirely beneath it. Centuries stack. Ultramar flourishes around you. The Imperium you helped build grows rigid, superstitious, afraid of its own shadow. Then Fulgrim finds you. He wears your brother's face. The thing behind his eyes is a demon, a prince of Slanesh, dressed in the skin of someone you once loved. The blade opens your throat before you register the betrayal. Poisoned, precise, merciless. You do not die. The wound does not close. It simply stays, a permanent threshold between living and gone. They carry you to Macragge, to the Temple of Correction. They lay you on cold stone and seal you in stasis, preserved but never healed, dying but never dead. Decades pass. Centuries follow. The vigil becomes ritual. The galaxy begins to forget what you sounded like. Then the galaxy breaks. A wound tears across the stars. The Cicatrix Maledictum, the Great Rift, splitting the Imperium in two. Warp storms swallow fleets. Worlds fall silent. No signal, no answer. Into that darkness, two figures approach the stone bier on Macragge. Belisarius Cawl, Archmagus of the Adeptus Mechanicus, has been secretly continuing your research for 10,000 years. Yvraine, emissary of the Eldar death god, Ennead, channels the soul energy of the dead. Together, they close the wound in your throat. Your eyes open. The first thing you feel is grief. Vast, incomprehensible. 10 millennia compressed into a single breath. Then fury rises beneath it. Then, much slower, something harder, purpose. 10,000 years are gone. But Cawl has not been idle. You do not ask for the title. The Imperium has no one else. You accept the rank of Lord Commander, not as a conqueror, but as a surgeon trying to stop a hemorrhage. Cawl's Primaris Marines are ready, millions of them, engineered over 10,000 years, in your name, without your knowledge. You give the order. The Indomitus Crusade begins. It is the largest military operation since the Great Crusade itself. Fleet after fleet, system after system. You drive into the dark with everything Cawl has built. Some chapters refuse the new warriors. You do not force them. Conviction cannot be coerced. But the galaxy is very large. The Great Rift does not negotiate. Ahead lies 100 wars, and every one of them is already underway. The Indomitus Crusade burns across 100 battlefronts. Nurgle's plague fleets rot entire star systems from within. Chaos warbands press through every breach the rift has torn. Xenos opportunists fill each vacuum. You fight all of them simultaneously. The war that truly exhausts you is not fought in the void. The ecclesiarchy guards its privileges. The High Lords resist every structural reform. The Inquisition watches you with the same suspicion it reserves for heretics. You are a living Primarch, and that terrifies them more than any Chaos Warlord ever could. You dismantle what you can, too carefully, too slowly. Every reform demands a concession. The Imperium resists the very hands that are rebuilding it, and somewhere in that resistance, a harder question waits. You read the histories, you read the theologies. 10,000 years of doctrine written in your name. You do not recognize it. The Imperium you built was imperfect, but it was reaching toward something. What followed is built on fear, on silence, on refusal. You do not know if the Imperium can be saved. You do not know if the Emperor can be saved. You are not certain you can be, but Ultramar stands. The Ultramarines hold. The Codex Astartes is still followed, still limiting, still preventing the worst. You built something that outlasted your death. That is enough. The galaxy has no use for your grief. It has urgent use for your judgment. The halls ahead are full of soldiers who need a commander, and they are already waiting. The assembly halls stretch beyond sight. Legion upon legion, trained under your codex, raised in your name. You did not ask for reverence. You asked for readiness. You look at Ultramar from orbit one last time. Blue oceans, lit cities, proof that order can outlast catastrophe. You have lost worlds. You have watched brothers fall twice, once in memory, once in the field. You filed every obituary as irrelevant. The prow of the flagship cuts forward. Warp light bleeds across the stars ahead. You know what waits out there. There is no version of this story where the war ends. There is only the version where you refuse to stop. And beneath the armor, you already know the difference between winning and holding. The stars do not care. The galaxy does not stop. It never did. You hold the Imperium, not because you believe it can be saved, but because you will not be the one who lets it fall. Not while you still stand. Every edict is a small act of defiance. Every decree, a refusal to surrender. You do not expect gratitude. You stopped expecting to be understood a long time ago. The name on 10,000 battle standards is yours. The weight of 10,000 worlds sits on those pauldrons. You carry it without ceremony. This is not heroism. This is obligation, chosen freely and paid again every single day. You were born Roboute Guilliman, and you will not set that name down. Not today, not ever.